All right, so today's lesson is going to be dividing rational expressions. So in order to divide rational expressions, don't forget how you divided fractions in the past, where you rewrite division problems as multiplication problems, flipping the second fraction only. So if you remember from way back when you were dividing, it was always called keep, change, flip, right? So you're going to flip the second fraction only. If necessary, factor the top, factor the bottom, factor both, and then you're back to multiplication problems. So you want to maybe multiply top by top, bottom by bottom. You might want to cross cancel. It doesn't really matter. You're only allowed to cancel common factors. So if they're binomial factors, it's got to be a complete pair. If it's monomials, then again, where are there more, top or bottom, and then simplify or cancel out your numbers as normal. Simplify as possible. So you're going to find each quotient. Again, no denominators equal to 0. So for this first one, basically it's keep, change, flip. So what happens is I'm going to keep the first fraction as is, 6xy squared z, 6xyz squared over 5x squared z. I change division to multiplication and I flip the second fraction, where now my numerator is 3yz squared and my denominator is 10x squared y. So now I'm just going to multiply, and I'm going to choose to multiply top, top, bottom, bottom, and then simplify next. So 6 times 3 is 18. In terms of the x's, I've got a total of just x to the first on top. In terms of my y, I total out to y squared, and my z's total out to z to the fifth. Z to the fourth, sorry, not to the fifth. My denominator, 5 times 10, that gives me 50. X's total out to be 4. Z's are just 1, and Y's are just 1. So now I've got monomials on top and bottom, and all I need to do is simplify the fractions. I know that both 18 and 50 are divisible by 2. So 2 goes into 18 9 times, 2 goes into 50 25 times. There's more x's on the bottom by 3. There are more y's on the top by 1, and there are more z's on the top by 3. So your final answer when dividing these two monomials is 9yz cubed over 25x cubed. All right, second one. So the second one, I'm going to actually kind of flip this thing first and then factor second. So I keep my first fraction as is, realizing my bottom is a binomial. I'm going to stick that thing in a parentheses. And when I rewrite the second fraction, that x plus 2 binomial goes on the top, and the 3x squared minus 3x goes on the bottom. Now I'm going to actually deal with my factoring. So I've got 3x over x plus 2, nothing here is factorable, multiplied by x plus 2, but now my denominator actually has a GCF, and the GCF is 3x. So 3x comes on the outside with an x minus 1 left over. Now that everything is factored, I can look for some common factors. This binomial gets rid of this binomial. I should also note that these guys are completely the same, and 3x divided by 3x is really just 1. So this looks a little bit different where my numerator is completely blank. Everything's been crossed out, but I've got to replace that with a 1. Remember, if the numerator goes away, it's a 1 that gets replaced. The denominator is this binomial factor, x minus 1. I leave that in parentheses, and that's your final answer. Let's take a look at the next one. So on this one, I'm actually going to rewrite it first, and then I'll worry about factoring. So this stays as is. This stays as is. Remember, dividing by a fraction means to multiply by the fraction's reciprocal. This becomes my new numerator, and this becomes my new denominator. Okay, now I'm going to start factoring, and everything is factorable. All right, so the top part of my fraction, or the first one, is going to be GCF 2x plus 2. My bottom is IM, x plus 9, x plus 2. My blue fraction, the top is IM, and this one becomes x plus 5, x plus 9. My bottom is dots, x plus 5, x minus 5. And just like yesterday, as long as I've got common factors top to bottom, I can simplify. X plus 5 goes away. X plus 2 goes away. x plus 9 goes away. Final answer in the top is just 2. On the bottom is just this binomial factor, x minus 5, and there's your final answer. Okay, this next one I'm going to kind of factor and flip at the same time just to save some time. So what happens on the number 4 is my numerator, the first fraction, is a GCF of x minus 7 left over. My numerator, the second fraction, is I am, x plus 5, x minus 3. Now what's going to happen is, remember, division goes to multiplication. My numerator, when I factor this as an I am and it goes on top, becomes x minus 3, x minus 2. The denominator, which now is that initial top, which goes on the bottom, is a GCF with a 3x minus 7. So I factored and flipped all at the same time. If that's too much for you to do and you want to rewrite it first and then factor second, that's fine. Start looking for common factors. I've got x minus 3 with an x minus 3, and I've got an x minus 7 with an x minus 7. Nothing else goes away. So on the top, I've got this monomial x, this binomial x minus 2. On the bottom, I've got the 3, which tends to usually always go in front of the parentheses. Doesn't really matter. Commutative property allows me to put it in front, but 3 over 3x plus 5. So there's your final answer, x times x minus 2 over 3 times x plus 5. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to factor and flip at the same time. Numerator, 3x, x plus 1, that's a GCF. Denominator, GCF 4. What's left over is x squared minus 6x plus 9. That actually looks like an I am. That can be factored again. So I'm going to have to do that. And that's going to actually be replaced with really x minus 3, x minus 3. So really that denominator becomes a 4 with an x minus 3 and an x minus 3. So I'm just going to sort of cross this out because I've replaced it with its factored form. So now what happens is it's going to be keep, change, flip. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, I'm going to color code this one. This becomes the numerator, and that in factored form becomes x minus 3, x minus 1. The new denominator becomes this guy, and that's a GCF, and that's going to be an x with an x minus 1. And now I'm going to look for things to cross out. I think I'm going to rewrite this just to make it a little bit cleaner. So just so you realize, the rewriting of this becomes 3x, x plus 1 over 4, x minus 3, x minus 3 times x minus 3, x minus 1 over x, x minus 1. I think it's just a little bit nicer to make it a little bit cleaner. And now I can see better. So I'm going to get rid of the x minus 1s. I'm going to get rid of an x minus 3 for an x minus 3. And that looks like all I can do. So the numerator becomes 3x with an x plus 1. Everything else is crossed out on top. The bottom, I've got this 4 and this x. So this becomes 4x. And then I can't forget that that particular polynomial is down there. And then let's see. All that's left to do is to realize that I've got these monomials on the outside, these x's. Well, they're going to cancel each other out. Final answer, 3 with an x plus 1 on the top, and 4 with an x minus 3 on the bottom. So that becomes your final answer. There's the whole page view if you need it. Okay, so that's it for this one. Good luck with the homework.